Have you ever noticed that the biggest critic in your life lives right inside your own mind? From the moment you wake up, it's there, that relentless voice, replaying all your past mistakes and predicting future disasters. Before you've even brushed your teeth, it's already decided the kind of day you're going to have. This voice isn't just persistent, it's exhausting. It fills the quiet moments with judgment, fear, and endless chatter. But here's the thing, it doesn't have to be this way. What if this voice isn't you? The truth is, we've been conditioned to think this way and judge ourselves that harshly, but by recognizing it for what it is, you could begin to step into a life of clarity, peace, and freedom. See, the voice never stops talking. From the moment we wake up until we fall asleep, it keeps running like a radio stuck between stations. This mental chatter follows us through our daily tasks, commenting on everything we do, see, and experience. This voice tells us stories about who we are. It creates labels, judges our actions, and builds an image of ourselves that we start to believe. It says, "I'm not good at this." It says, "I always mess things up. Other people are better than me." And we accept these thoughts as truth without questioning them. But here's something interesting. This voice isn't really us. It's more like a program running in the background, playing old recordings from our past. These recordings come from things we heard growing up, from experiences that left marks on us, and from beliefs we picked up along the way. Think about how often this voice predicts bad things that never happen. They won't like me. I'll fail at this. Something will go wrong. Yet most of these predictions don't come true. The voice creates worry and stress over things that exist only in our thoughts. The voice also likes to time travel. It pulls us into the past with regrets and old hurts, or pushes us into the future with worries and fears. Meanwhile, the present moment, the only time we can actually do anything, slips away unnoticed. This constant mental noise uses up energy we could spend on other things. It's like leaving all the apps running on your phone. The battery drains faster and everything slows down. When we're caught up in this stream of thoughts, we miss out on what's happening right now. But we can learn to notice this voice without getting caught up in its stories. Just like you can hear traffic noise outside your window without focusing on every car, you can let thoughts pass by without grabbing onto them. This doesn't mean fighting with the voice or trying to make it stop. That just creates more mental noise. Instead, we can practice seeing thoughts as just thoughts, not facts. When the voice says, "I can't do this," we can notice it and say, "That's an interesting thought," rather than believing it automatically. This creates some space between us and the voice. The voice will keep talking. That's what it does. But we don't have to take everything it says seriously. Most of what it tells us is recycled content, like a TV channel playing reruns. Once we see this, the voice loses some of its power over us. This matters because many of us spend years trying to fix or improve ourselves based on what this voice tells us. We think if we could just be different, smarter, more successful, better looking, then we'd finally be okay. But this voice will always find something wrong, no matter how much we change. The real shift happens when we stop trying to fix the voice and instead question whether we need to believe it. We can act on our values and do what matters to us regardless of what the voice says. This doesn't require any special techniques or years of practice. Just the willingness to notice the voice without automatically following its directions. Think of it like having a backseat driver who never stops giving advice. You can acknowledge their presence and keep driving your own way. Sometimes the advice might be useful, but you don't have to follow every suggestion. This voice isn't our enemy. It's trying to help in its own way, often by keeping us safe from imagined dangers. But we don't need to let it run our lives. See, in Christianity, this idea ties directly to discernment, the practice of separating truth from the noise. It's about recognizing the difference between the voice of God and the endless chatter of our fears and doubts. Scripture talks about this a lot, like in 2 Corinthians 10:5. We take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. That's not about shutting your mind down, but learning to call out your thoughts for what they are. Just fleeting ideas, not the ultimate truth. Think about the still small voice in 1 Kings 19:12. God's voice wasn't in the fire, the earthquake, or the wind. It was subtle and calm. Nothing like the loud, frantic commentary of our minds. When we pause, notice our thoughts, and stop reacting automatically, we give ourselves the chance to hear that quieter, deeper wisdom. Christianity gets real about this. It's not about fixing every thought or trying to silence the noise completely. It's about letting go of the false stories the mind keeps spinning and anchoring yourself in something far more solid, the truth of God's love and grace. That's where the real shift happens. When you stop buying into every fearful whisper and start trusting in a truth that reminds you, you're already loved, already enough, already whole. The next time you notice this voice chattering away, try something different. Instead of arguing with it or trying to make it stop, just notice it's there. See if you can catch what stories it's telling about you and your life. Are these stories helping you live the way you want to live? This simple act of noticing starts to change our relationship with the voice. We begin to see it as just one part of our experience, not the whole story. And in that space between us and the voice, we find more freedom to choose how we want to live. The false self builds up over many years, starting in childhood. As we grow up, we create this outer shell to protect ourselves and fit in with others. Think of it like wearing a mask or playing a role that feels safe and accepted. This part of us develops from all the times we changed our behavior to please others. Our parents, teachers, friends, and society. Maybe we learned to be extra quiet to avoid attention. Or perhaps we became the class clown to make people like us. These patterns stick around long after we need them. The false self isn't bad. It helped us survive and adapt. But now it might be holding us back. It's the voice that says, "I'm not good enough," or "I need to be perfect." It's the part that pushes us to buy things we don't need or act in ways that don't feel true to who we are. You can spot your false self in action when you catch yourself trying too hard to impress others, or when you feel like you're just going through the motions in life. It shows up as that constant need to check social media, to compare yourself to others, or to seek approval for everything you do. The false self runs on autopilot, making decisions based on old fears and outdated beliefs. It's like having a computer program running in the background, influencing your choices without you even noticing. This program might tell you to avoid taking risks, to stay in an unfulfilling job, or to keep unhealthy relationships just because they're familiar. But here's what's interesting. The false self uses up a lot of energy. Think about how tired you feel after pretending to be someone you're not at a social event, or how draining it is to constantly worry about what others think of you. That's your false self burning through your energy reserves. The good news is that once you start seeing your false self in action, you can begin to loosen its grip. You might notice when you're speaking with someone and suddenly realize you're not being genuine. You're just saying what you think they want to hear. Or you might catch yourself buying something expensive not because you want it, but because you think it will make others respect you more. Your false self shows up in subtle ways too. It's in the little lies we tell ourselves and others. It's in the roles we play at work or with family that don't really fit who we are. It's in our habits of avoiding difficult conversations or always needing to be right. The false self is like a collection of borrowed personalities we've picked up along the way. Sometimes we act like our parents, sometimes like our friends, sometimes like characters we've seen in movies. We mix and match these borrowed traits until we can't remember which parts are really us. But underneath all these layers is your true self. The authentic you that doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. This real you isn't worried about status or keeping up appearances. It doesn't need constant validation or approval from others. Getting to know your false self is the first step in breaking free from its control. Start by watching your thoughts and actions throughout the day. Notice when you're being authentic and when you're just playing a role. Pay attention to the moments when you feel most comfortable versus when you feel like you're straining to maintain an image. The false self will try to convince you that you need it to survive in the world. It will tell you that being your authentic self is dangerous or foolish. But these are just more stories it uses to stay in control. As you become more aware of your false self, you'll start seeing how much of your daily life is influenced by it. From the clothes you wear to the words you choose, from the career path you've taken to the relationships you maintain, the false self has likely had a hand in many of these choices. This awareness doesn't mean you need to completely change everything about your life. Instead, it gives you the chance to choose consciously rather than running on automatic. You can decide which parts of your personality serve you well, and which parts are just old protection mechanisms you no longer need. The process of recognizing and moving beyond the false self takes time and patience. You're undoing patterns that have been in place for years or decades. But each small moment of awareness brings you closer to living from your true self. And that's where real freedom begins. The mind can watch itself. This simple truth opens up a new way to handle our thoughts and feelings. Think of yourself sitting in a room, looking at everything around you. Now, picture being able to look at your own thoughts in the same way, like watching clouds pass in the sky. This watching part of you is what we call the observer. It's the quiet space inside that can step back and notice what's going on in your head without getting caught up in it. When you're angry, sad, or worried, the observer can see these feelings without becoming them. Let me show you how this works. Right now, notice any thoughts going through your mind. Maybe you're thinking about what to do later, or wondering if this makes sense. The fact that you can notice these thoughts means you're already using your observer. The observer doesn't judge or try to change anything. It just watches. This is different from our usual way of getting tangled up in every thought and emotion that comes along. When you're upset about something, instead of being completely lost in the feeling, you can take a step back and say, I notice I'm feeling upset right now. This skill becomes really useful when dealing with the false self we talked about earlier. The false self is like a costume we wear to please others, but the observer helps us see when we're putting on this act. It's like having a camera that can film both the role we're playing and our true self underneath. You might wonder if this observer is just another part of the mind playing tricks, but it's actually your most basic awareness, the part that's been there all along, quietly watching everything else. It's what lets you know you're alive and aware right now. Using the observer is simple, but takes practice. Start with easy moments, like watching yourself brush your teeth or walk down the street. Notice your movements, your breathing, your thoughts. Don't try to change anything, just watch. As you get better at this, you can use it in harder situations. When you're in a difficult conversation, part of you can step back and watch how you're reacting. When you're stressed about work, you can observe your worried thoughts without getting lost in them. The observer gives us space between stimulus and response. Instead of automatically reacting when someone makes us angry, we can watch our anger rise and choose how to respond. This space is where real freedom lives. This watching presence helps us see through the false self's tricks. When we start pretending to be someone we're not, the observer notices. When we put on a mask to fit in, it sees. This awareness is the first step to living more honestly. The observer shows us we're not our thoughts or emotions. We're the awareness that can see them. This is huge because it means we're not trapped by our patterns. We can watch them without being controlled by them. Think of your mind like a movie screen. Thoughts, feelings, and memories are the images projected on it. The observer is like the screen itself, always there, unchanged by whatever plays across it. Good movie, bad movie, the screen stays the same. Some people worry that watching themselves this way will make them cold or detached. But the opposite happens. Being able to see ourselves clearly leads to more genuine connections with others. We can be present without getting lost in reactions. The observer doesn't need special conditions. It's available in any moment, whether you're alone in meditation or in a crowded room. It's your natural awareness, always ready to help you see more clearly. As you practice watching yourself, you'll notice patterns you never saw before. You might catch yourself using the same old excuses, or notice how certain situations always trigger certain reactions. This seeing is the beginning of real change. The observer is your ally in breaking free from old patterns. It helps you spot the difference between who you really are and who you pretend to be. This clarity is what leads us to our next step, breaking free from the false self's grip. Remember, you're not trying to control or change your thoughts. You're simply building the habit of watching them with friendly curiosity. This watching presence is your bridge between the false self and true freedom. Our minds often create invisible prisons that limit what we think is possible. These mental barriers build up over time through past experiences, social pressures, and self-doubt. But these walls only exist because we believe in them. Think about a time when you felt stuck in a pattern that didn't serve you. Maybe it was a relationship that had run its course, a job that drained your energy, or a habit that held you back. That feeling of being trapped comes from the stories we tell ourselves about what we can and cannot do. The truth is, we can break free at any moment. Just like a bird in an open cage, sometimes we stay put simply because we've forgotten we have wings. Breaking free starts with seeing these self-imposed limitations for what they are, thoughts, not facts. Your brain might tell you, "I'm not good enough," or "this is just how things are." But these are old programs running on autopilot. You can write new code, you can choose different thoughts, you can take different actions. Look at children at play. They don't worry about looking silly. They don't limit their dreams based on what others think is realistic. They simply follow their curiosity and joy. That same freedom lives in you too. Breaking free doesn't mean everything changes overnight. It starts with small acts of courage. Speaking up when you'd usually stay quiet. Taking a different route home. Saying yes to something new. Each tiny step builds momentum. Think of it like cleaning out a cluttered room. You don't need to throw everything out at once. Start with one drawer, one shelf, one old belief that no longer fits. Make space for something new to enter. The process might feel uncomfortable. Growth often does. But discomfort is different from danger. That flutter in your stomach when you step outside your comfort zone. That's not a warning sign. It's a signal that you're alive, that you're growing. Your energy flows where your attention goes. When you focus on limitations, they grow stronger. When you focus on possibilities, new paths appear. The choice of where to direct your energy is always yours. Breaking free means trusting yourself enough to let go of what's familiar, but no longer serves you. It means being willing to stand in uncertainty as you create something new. It means accepting that you might not know exactly where you're going, but moving forward anyway. Consider a river. It doesn't stop flowing when it meets a boulder. It finds another way around. Sometimes it goes over, sometimes under, sometimes it carves right through. Water teaches us about persistence and flexibility, about finding new paths when old ones are blocked. You have this same adaptable strength within you. Every time you've overcome a challenge in your past, you've proven this. Every time you've learned something new, you've shown your capacity for growth and change. The walls of your comfort zone are not meant to be a prison. They're more like training wheels, useful for a time, but eventually limiting if you never take them off. You can choose to keep them on, or you can choose to risk the wobble of riding without them. Breaking free doesn't require special tools or perfect timing. It requires only your decision to begin, to question one assumption, to take one step, to try one new thing. The rest follows naturally, like water finding its way to the sea. Your energy is meant to flow, not to stay trapped in old patterns. When you feel that pull towards something new, that's your inner wisdom speaking. It knows there's more possible than what you've experienced so far. The barriers between where you are and where you want to be might seem solid, but like a mirage in the desert, they can dissolve when you walk straight toward them. What looks like a wall from far away might turn out to be just morning mist, disappearing in the light of your courage to move forward. You don't need permission to change. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You don't need to have it all figured out first. Breaking free starts with giving yourself permission to want something different, to be something different. The energy that's been keeping those old patterns in place can be redirected. It can fuel your growth instead of containing it. It can light up new paths instead of maintaining old walls. Your next chapter is waiting to be written. Your next expression is waiting to be voiced. Your next adventure is waiting to begin. The door has always been open. The chains have always been breakable. The time has always been now. The darkness stretches endlessly in all directions. This is the void, a space between spaces where energy flows freely without form or structure. Here you'll find no physical boundaries, no up or down, no light or shadow. It's pure potential, waiting to be shaped. In the void, energy moves differently than in our normal world. Think of it like being underwater, but without the water. Your movements create ripples that spread far beyond what you can see. Each thought, each small shift in your focus, sends waves through this empty space. You might feel scared at first. Most people do. The void can seem too big, too empty. But this emptiness is exactly what makes it special. Here, you don't need to push against anything. You don't need to fight or struggle. The energy simply responds to your presence. Start by feeling yourself as pure energy. Your body isn't solid here. It's more like a collection of bright points, all connected, all flowing. Notice how you can stretch these connections. Pull them closer. Make them brighter or dimmer just by thinking about it. The void teaches us that control isn't about force. It's about being clear with our intentions. When you want to move energy here, you don't push it, you invite it. You create a space for it to flow into. Like making a small dip in sand and watching water naturally fill it. This place shows us what energy really is. Not something we own or command, but something we're part of. Something that runs through us, around us, between us. In the void, you can feel how all energy is connected. Your energy isn't separate from the energy around you. It's all one big flow. Try reaching out with your awareness. Feel how far it can go. There are no walls here, no limits. Your energy can expand as far as you let it. But notice how it stays connected to you, like a spider's web that stretches but never breaks. The void might seem empty, but it's full of possibilities. Every thought creates patterns here. Every feeling sends ripples through the nothingness. Watch how your emotions make shapes in the darkness. Fear makes sharp, jagged patterns. Peace makes smooth, flowing ones. This is where you learn to trust yourself. In the void, there's nothing to hold on to except your own center. No guidelines, except what feels right to you. It can be scary at first, but that's how we grow stronger. That's how we learn what we're really capable of. Let yourself float here for a while. Don't try to do anything. Just be. Feel how the energy moves through you naturally. Notice how it responds to your smallest thoughts. This is pure energy work. No distractions. No complications. The void teaches us that emptiness isn't nothing. It's the space where anything can happen. It's like a blank canvas waiting for your brush, or an empty room waiting to be filled with music. What you create here depends only on your imagination and your focus. As you spend time here, you'll start to feel more comfortable with uncertainty. You'll learn that not knowing what's next can be exciting instead of scary. The void shows us that change is natural, that flow is better than control. This place exists inside you too. Whenever things get too loud or too busy, you can find this quiet space within yourself. A place where everything slows down, where you can see things clearly. The void isn't just somewhere you visit, it's part of who you are. Take what you learn here back with you. Remember how it feels to move without resistance, to change without struggle. Remember that underneath all the solid things in life, there's this space of pure potential. This is where everything begins. This is where change becomes possible. The void isn't empty, it's full of everything that could be. And you're part of that potential. Your energy, your thoughts, your presence makes patterns in this darkness. These patterns spread out, touching other patterns, creating new possibilities. Stay here as long as you need. Let the quietness fill you. Let the emptiness teach you. In the void, you're not learning new things. You're remembering what you already know. You're finding your way back to the simple truth that energy flows where attention goes. This is the space between breaths, the pause between thoughts. This is where you learn that control comes from being still, from listening rather than forcing. The void shows us that the most powerful changes start in emptiness, in the quiet space where anything is possible. The heart holds secrets far deeper than we often recognize. Think of your heart as more than just a pump moving blood through your body. It's a center of intelligence that can guide you through life's ups and downs. Your heart beats about 100,000 times each day, sending signals to your brain and body that affect how you think, feel, and act. These signals are much stronger than the ones your brain sends to your heart. When you're stressed, angry, or afraid, your heart rhythm becomes choppy and uneven. But when you feel love, care, or appreciation, your heart creates smooth, steady patterns. Let me share a simple way to tap into your heart's wisdom. Place your hand on your chest, right over your heart. Take slow, easy breaths. With each breath, picture breathing through your heart area. As you do this, bring up a memory of someone or something you love. Maybe a pet, a friend, or a beautiful place in nature. Notice how your body feels as you hold that loving feeling. Your muscles might relax. Your breathing might slow down. Your mind might become clearer. This is your heart's natural state of balance. You can use this heart connection anytime, anywhere. Stuck in traffic? Connect with your heart. Dealing with a difficult person? Let your heart guide you. Having trouble sleeping? Your heart knows how to help you rest. The heart picks up information about your surroundings before your brain does. Have you ever had a gut feeling about something? That's often your heart sensing what's happening around you and sending signals to your brain and body. Your heart affects everyone around you too. Research shows that your heart creates an energy field that extends several feet from your body. This field carries information about your emotional state. When you feel peaceful and loving, people near you can sense it, even if they don't know why. Think about times when you've been around someone who's really angry. You could probably feel their tension before they said a word, or remember being with someone who's calm and caring. Their presence alone might have helped you feel better. That's the heart field at work. You can learn to use your heart's wisdom to make better choices. Before making a decision, try checking in with your heart. Take a few deep breaths, focus on your heart area, and ask yourself, what feels right? Often your heart will give you a clear answer through your feelings. The heart doesn't speak in words like the mind does. Instead, it communicates through feelings, sensations, and what many people call intuition. Learning to trust these signals takes practice, but they become clearer over time. Your heart can help you build stronger relationships too. When you speak and act from your heart, people trust you more. They can sense your genuine care and good intentions. This creates deeper connections and more meaningful interactions. The heart also helps you recover from difficult experiences. When you're hurt or upset, connecting with your heart's natural loving energy helps you heal. It's like having a built-in comfort system that's always available. You might wonder why we often ignore our heart's wisdom. We live in a world that values thinking over feeling, logic over intuition. But the most successful people often combine both. They use their minds to plan and analyze, and their hearts to guide their choices and connect with others. Start small. Take a few minutes each day to practice heart-focused breathing. Notice how different emotions affect your heart rhythm. Pay attention to your heart's signals in daily situations. You'll start recognizing patterns and understanding your heart's language. Your heart is always sending you messages. It knows what you need for better health, clearer decisions, and stronger relationships. The more you listen to and trust your heart's wisdom, the more it will guide you toward what's best for you and those around you. This isn't about ignoring your mind or avoiding logical thinking. It's about bringing your heart and mind together, letting them work as partners rather than competitors. When they work together, you have access to deeper wisdom than either one alone can provide. Your heart is waiting to share its wisdom with you. All you need to do is listen. Life gives us countless reasons to feel thankful. Each morning brings new chances to notice good things, from the warmth of sunlight to a friend's smile. These small moments build up, creating a positive view that changes how we see everything around us. Being grateful doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. Instead, it helps us spot the good parts of life, even during tough times. Think about having a bad day at work. You might still appreciate your coworker bringing you coffee or the peaceful drive home. When we practice gratitude, our brains actually change. Research shows that people who regularly write down what they're thankful for feel happier and sleep better. They get sick less often and handle stress more easily. It's like training a muscle. The more you practice seeing good things, the better you get at finding them. Compassion goes hand in hand with gratitude. As we notice the good in our lives, we become more aware of others and their experiences. We start seeing how connected we all are. That person who cut you off in traffic might be rushing to help a sick family member. The cashier who seems grumpy could be dealing with personal problems. Simple acts of kindness create ripple effects. Holding the door for someone, offering a sincere compliment, or just listening without judgment. These small actions matter. They show others they're valued and spread positive energy through our communities. You can start building gratitude today. Each night, think of 3 good things that happened. They don't need to be big. Maybe you enjoyed your lunch, finished a task, or had a nice chat with someone. Write them down if you can. Over time, you'll notice more and more positive moments throughout your day. Practicing compassion starts with being kind to yourself. We often judge ourselves harshly for mistakes or imperfections. But treating yourself with understanding makes it easier to extend that same kindness to others. If you mess up, talk to yourself like you would to a good friend, with patience and support. Both gratitude and compassion help us use energy better. When we're thankful, we waste less energy on complaints or negative thoughts. When we're compassionate, we stop carrying the heavy weight of judgment and criticism. This leaves us with more energy for things that really matter. These practices also strengthen our connections with others. Grateful people tend to have better relationships because they notice and appreciate what others do for them. Compassionate people create safe spaces where others feel understood and accepted. Together, these qualities build stronger communities. You might wonder how to keep up these practices when life gets hard. Start small. Maybe say thank you more often, really meaning it each time. Notice the taste of your food, the comfort of your bed, or the sound of birds singing. Look for chances to help others in simple ways. Some people find it helpful to keep a gratitude journal or set phone reminders to pause and notice good things. Others prefer sharing their appreciation out loud with family and friends. Find what works for you and make it part of your daily routine. Being grateful and compassionate doesn't mean you'll never feel negative emotions. It's normal and healthy to feel sad, angry, or frustrated sometimes. These practices just help you maintain balance and perspective during difficult times. Think of gratitude and compassion as tools that help you see life more clearly. They don't change what happens to you, but they change how you experience it. They help you focus on what's good while staying open to helping others. The best part is that anyone can develop these qualities. You don't need special training or equipment, just the willingness to pay attention and open your heart. Each day brings new chances to practice, and every small effort counts. As you continue practicing gratitude and compassion, you'll likely notice changes in how you feel and how others respond to you. You might find yourself smiling more, worrying less, and feeling more connected to people around you. These changes happen naturally as you train yourself to notice good things and respond with kindness. Remember that this is a gradual process. Some days will be easier than others, and that's okay. What matters is coming back to these practices again and again, letting them slowly reshape how you see yourself and the world around you. The changes we make in our lives don't need to be big or dramatic. Small steps lead to lasting results. Let's talk about how to bring these positive changes into your daily routine. Start with your morning. Pick one new habit. Maybe it's taking 3 deep breaths before getting out of bed, or drinking a glass of water while looking out the window. Do this one thing every day until it becomes natural, like brushing your teeth. Your body gives you signals all day long. Notice when you feel tense or tired. These are perfect moments to pause and reset. Take a minute to roll your shoulders or stretch. Small breaks help you stay balanced. Food choices affect your energy. Pay attention to how different meals make you feel. Some might give you steady energy, while others might make you crash later. Make adjustments based on what works for your body. Movement doesn't need to mean intense exercise. Walking during phone calls, taking the stairs, or dancing while cooking all count. Find ways to add natural movement that fits into what you're already doing. Your space affects your mindset. Clear surfaces and organized areas help create mental clarity. Start with one drawer or one corner. Small improvements in your environment build up over time. Sleep is your foundation. Create a simple bedtime routine. Maybe it's putting your phone away 30 minutes earlier, or reading a few pages of a book. Better sleep leads to better days. Relationships need attention too. Send a quick message to someone you care about. Share a genuine compliment. These small connections make both you and others feel good. Money matters become easier when you track them. Take 5 minutes each day to review your spending. This simple habit helps you make better choices without stress. Work breaks are necessary. Set a timer to stand up every hour. Look at something far away to rest your eyes. These mini breaks keep you productive. Nature connects us to something bigger. Spot birds outside your window. Feel the sun on your face. Touch a tree. These brief moments in nature refresh your mind. Stress will always exist, but you can choose how to respond. When something bothers you, take a breath. Ask yourself if it will matter in a week, a month, or a year. This perspective helps you stay calm. Your thoughts create your experience. Notice negative self-talk and gently shift it. Instead of, "I have to," try, "I get to." Small changes in words change how you feel. Learning keeps life interesting. Read one article about something new. Listen to a different type of music. Try a new recipe. Small doses of novelty keep your brain active. Digital life needs limits. Pick specific times to check messages. Turn off notifications during focused work. These boundaries protect your peace. Evening routines help you wind down. Light a candle. Write down 3 good things from your day. Create a peaceful end to each day. Time for yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. Block out 15 minutes for something you enjoy. Make it non-negotiable, like eating or sleeping. Goals work better in small steps. Break big dreams into tiny actions. 1 page of writing, 1 minute of practice, 1 small task. They add up. Mistakes are normal. When things go wrong, be kind to yourself. Learn what you can and move forward. Progress isn't perfect. Change happens gradually. Notice small wins. Celebrate tiny improvements. Each positive choice builds on the last one. Your life shifts through these small, daily choices. Each moment offers a chance to choose differently. Simple changes, repeated over time, create lasting transformation. This is your life, happening right now. You don't need to wait for the perfect moment or the right circumstances. Start where you are, with what you have. Small steps, taken consistently, lead you where you want to go. The path to freedom starts with accepting where you are right now. Your current habits, patterns, and energy levels are your starting point, and that's perfectly fine. Many of us spend years feeling trapped by low energy, poor sleep, or unhealthy routines. But today marks a new beginning. Think about what freedom means to you. Maybe it's having enough energy to play with your kids after work, or feeling strong enough to take that hiking trip you've been putting off. Perhaps it's just being able to get through your day without feeling exhausted by noon. I spent years struggling with fatigue, telling myself it was normal to feel drained all the time. I drank too much coffee, ate whatever was convenient, and accepted that being tired was just part of adult life. But that wasn't freedom. It was a prison I had built for myself. The changes we've talked about aren't restrictions. They're keys to unlock your natural energy. Going to bed earlier isn't limiting your evening. It's giving you more alert, productive morning hours. Choosing nutritious foods isn't taking away enjoyment. It's giving your body the fuel it craves. Let's be real. This isn't about following a perfect plan or never having a late night or slice of cake again. True freedom comes from making conscious choices rather than being controlled by habits or cravings. It's about having the energy to say yes to the things that matter most to you. Start small. Pick one area where you want more freedom. If afternoon fatigue is holding you back, try eating a protein-rich lunch and taking a short walk. If evening stress keeps you up at night, create a simple wind-down routine. Each positive choice builds momentum. Your body wants to feel energized. It wants to move, to be strong, to sleep deeply, and to wake up refreshed. You're not fighting against your nature. You're working with it. Every cell in your body is programmed for vitality. You're just removing the obstacles in its way. The best part: energy creates energy. As you make these changes, you'll find yourself wanting to move more, craving healthier foods, and naturally falling into better sleep patterns. What started as conscious effort becomes your new normal. I see this transformation in people all the time. They start with one small change, maybe drinking more water or going for a morning walk. Soon they're sleeping better, which gives them energy to cook healthy meals, which helps them feel stronger for exercise, which leads to better sleep. and the positive cycle continues. Think about how different your life could be 3 months from now. Imagine waking up naturally, feeling refreshed. Picture yourself having steady energy throughout the day. See yourself choosing activities because you want to, not because you're too tired to do anything else. This isn't about willpower or discipline. It's about working with your body's natural rhythms and needs. When you give your body what it needs, it gives you energy and vitality in return. That's true freedom. You might face setbacks. Everyone does. Some days you'll stay up too late, or skip exercise, or eat foods that don't serve you well. That's not failure. It's being human. Freedom includes the freedom to be imperfect, to learn, and to start fresh each day. The changes we've discussed aren't meant to restrict you. They're meant to expand your possibilities. When you have abundant energy, you have more choices. You can say yes to opportunities. You can pursue goals that seemed out of reach. You can fully show up for your life. Your energy is your most valuable resource. It affects everything. Your work, your relationships, your happiness, your ability to pursue what matters to you. By taking control of your energy, you're taking control of your life. Start today. Not with dramatic changes or strict rules, but with one small step toward freedom. Drink an extra glass of water, take a 5-minute walk, go to bed 15 minutes earlier. Choose one thing that feels doable and do it. Remember that freedom isn't a destination, it's a practice. Each day brings new opportunities to choose energy over fatigue, vitality over lethargy, freedom over limitation. You have everything you need to begin right now. The path to energy freedom is open before you. Your body is ready. Your mind is ready. All that's left is to take that first step. Make one positive choice today and let it lead you toward the vibrant, energized life you deserve.